In the world of professional boxing, few names inspire awe and admiration quite like Naoya Inoue. Nicknamed the Monster, Inoue has long stood as one of the most fearsome and technically gifted fighters on the planet. His career is defined by a combination of blinding hand speed, clinical precision, and knockout power that has sent opponent after opponent tumbling to the canvas. Fans and experts alike have come to expect nothing short of domination every time Inoue steps into the ring. But even for a fighter of his stature, no career is without its moments of peril. And for Inoue, that moment arrived on a night in May 2024, when the Tokyo Dome played host to one of the most emotionally charged and memorable bouts in modern Japanese boxing history. It was a fight that would test not only Inoue's skill but also his heart, resilience, and his capacity to carry the hopes of an entire nation on his shoulders. The stage was set for the first defense of his undisputed bantamweight crown, a title he had captured through a dazzling display of mastery that left no doubt about his supremacy in the division. The opponent that night was a man whose very name had become synonymous with controversy and disdain among Japanese boxing fans. The hard-hitting Mexican southpaw, Luis Nery. Luis Nery was no stranger to infamy in Japan. Known for his brash demeanor and unapologetic cockiness, Nery had carved his reputation both through his skill and through scandal. Years earlier, his pair of fights against Japanese legend Shinsuke Yamanaka had left a sour taste for boxing fans in the country. Despite delivering 2 crushing knockouts over Yamanaka, Nery's victories were overshadowed by a failed drug test and a blatant failure to make weight in the rematch, incidents that turned him into a villain in the eyes of the Japanese public. In war, the lead-up to his clash with Inoue, the tension was palpable. This wasn't merely a championship fight. It wasn't even just a battle between 2 elite bantamweights. For Japanese fans, it was personal. The wounds left by Nery's past transgressions had never truly healed, and the nation had found its avenger in Naoya Inoue. Nery entered the fight with an imposing record: 35 wins, only 1 defeat, and an eye-watering knockout ratio of 78%. His southpaw stance and thunderous left hand had dismantled dozens of opponents, and he arrived in Tokyo, confident that his power and experience could pull off what many viewed as the unthinkable, derailing the seemingly unstoppable monster. The Tokyo Dome, affectionately nicknamed the Big Egg, was packed with expectant fans. Over 7 million people were watching across Japan, a staggering number that underscored just how much weight this fight carried for the nation. The atmosphere inside the arena was electric, the air charged with a mix of anxiety, excitement, and deep-seated desire for retribution. When Nery entered the arena, the reception was exactly what one would expect for a villain. Boos cascaded from the stands, and some members of the crowd even flashed middle fingers in his direction. It was a hostile environment unlike any other he had faced, and the message was clear. Japan had not forgotten, and its hero was expected to deliver swift justice. As the opening bell sounded, Inoue wasted no time asserting himself. He looked sharp and aggressive, testing Nery's defenses with his trademark jab and calculated right hands. His strategy seemed simple: control the pace, find openings, and gradually dismantle the Mexican. But the bout would not unfold as smoothly as Inoue had anticipated. The first round took a shocking turn when Nery, cornered and seemingly under pressure, responded to an uppercut with a looping overhand left that detonated clean on Inoue's jaw. In an instant, the unthinkable happened. The monster, known for his unshakable composure and iron chin, crashed to the canvas, tasting the unforgiving floor for the very first time in his professional career. A wave of collective shock swept through the Tokyo Dome. The thousands in attendance sat frozen, their cheers swallowed by an unsettling silence. This wasn't just any fighter being knocked down. This was their champion, their avenger, and the man many believed to be invincible. For a moment it seemed as if Nery was on the cusp of flipping the script and completing one of the most stunning upsets in recent memory. But champions are forged not just through their victories but through their ability to overcome adversity. Rising to his feet, Inoue steadied himself, his expression unreadable, masking the pain and shock from the knockdown. There was still time left in the round, and Neri, sensing the opportunity, pressed forward in search of the finish. Rather than retreat into survival mode, Inoue made a critical and calculated decision. Using his head movement and footwork, he began slipping punches on the ropes, subtly luring Neri in, all while allowing himself the brief moments needed to recover. He moved his upper body with an almost inhuman fluidity, weaving away from danger like a man fully aware of the stakes. Each second that passed marked a return to equilibrium for the Japanese star. As the bell rang to end the first round, Inoue walked back to his corner, his body language betraying little of the chaos that had just unfolded. The worst had passed, and the adjustment phase was now underway. The advice coming from his corner was simple but precise. Adjust to Neri's timing, neutralize the looping left, and impose your own rhythm. Inoue absorbed every word, and when the second round began, it was as if an entirely new fighter had stepped into the ring. This time, Inoue flipped the script. No longer content to let Neri dictate exchanges, he closed the distance intelligently, punishing the Mexican for every defensive lapse. He began to read Neri's signature left hand with uncanny precision, making subtle shifts in angle and distance that minimized the Mexican's power while setting up devastating counters. Midway through the second round, Inoue's opportunity came. Neri once again launched forward, loading up with his feared left, but Inoue beat him to the punch. In a beautiful display of timing and balance, he unleashed a compact left hook that caught Neri flush on the chin, sending the Mexican sprawling to the canvas. The crowd, which had held its collective breath since the first round knockdown, erupted with renewed belief. The knockdown marked more than just a shift in momentum. It signaled the return of the true monster. From that moment forward, Inoue began to systematically dismantle Neri in a performance that blended surgical precision with unrelenting aggression. Although Neri survived the round, the writing was already on the wall. His bravado had been punctured, his confidence shaken, and the once hostile Tokyo Dome had transformed into a coliseum, roaring with anticipation for the inevitable conclusion. By the third round, Inoue's control was absolute. He stalked Neri around the ring, cutting off escape routes and hammering his opponent with sharp, punishing combinations. Neri, desperate and increasingly battered, attempted to stall the momentum by claiming to the referee that he had been hit behind the head, but the official was unmoved. Inoue, unaffected by the brief interruption, resumed his assault with cold efficiency. The punishment continued into the fourth and fifth rounds as Inoue showcased not only his power, but also the depth of his boxing IQ. He began targeting Neri's body, forcing him to lower his guard before unleashing combinations upstairs. Each exchange pushed the Mexican deeper into survival mode, and each round pushed him closer to the brink. Late in the fifth, Inoue found another opening. Trapping Neri against the ropes, he delivered a short but vicious left hook that sent the Mexican to the canvas for the second time. Neri, battered but defiant, managed to rise, but his body was betraying him. He was running on fumes, his will eroded by the relentless pressure and the crowd's deafening support for the hometown hero. When the sixth round began, Inoue wasted no time. The scent of the finish was in the air, and he moved in for the kill, with clinical determination. He battered Neri with a series of hooks and crosses, snapping his head back with each precise shot. Then, with one final perfectly timed right hand, Inoue landed the coup de grace. Neri crumpled against the ropes, unable to rise as the referee waved off the contest. The arena erupted in a thunderous ovation. For the Japanese fans, it was more than a victory. It was redemption. The man who had stained their national pride had been decisively vanquished. Inoue, as always, had done so with a blend of power and elegance that few could match. In the post-fight interview, Inoue spoke candidly about his motivation. He made it clear that the history of Neri's cheating and the shadow it cast over Japanese boxing had provided the extra fuel for his preparation. The victory was not just personal, it was symbolic, a statement that skill and integrity would always outlast shortcuts and controversy. The fight had shattered records in Japan, becoming the most watched boxing event ever on Amazon Prime Video in the country. For his performance, Inoue was awarded the honorary WBC Diamond Belt, and pound-for-pound ranking lists across the globe unanimously reinstalled him at the top. His mastery had once again captured the imagination of the boxing world. On the same night, Inoue's brother, Takuma Inoue, faced adversity of his own. Knocked down early in his own bout, Takuma showed the same heart and resolve that defined the Inoue family, rallying back to secure a hard-earned victory and ensuring that the night belonged entirely to the Inoue brothers. In the end, the evening was more than just a prize fight. It was an affirmation of Naoya Inoue's greatness. Through adversity, he had shown not only his superior boxing skills but his unbreakable spirit, offering a performance that will live long in the memories of those who witnessed it. And as for Luis Neri, the bout served as a humbling reminder that in boxing there are no shortcuts. The monster had punished the cheater, and in doing so cemented his own legacy as one of the finest fighters of his generation.